to day 1, and the learning target is I can multiply 2 polynomials. So in your notes, you should have taken notes about the 3 types of polynomial expressions we'll be multiplying. The first type is a monomial times a trinomial or binomial. The second type is when we multiply 2 binomials, and the third type is when we multiply a trinomial times a binomial. Okay? So at this point, you should pause the video. You should write all 3 of these problems down, leave some room to put some work in, and then resume the video once you have written them all down. Okay, so let's start with this first one. Negative 2x squared times x squared plus 3x plus 4. The main thing that we need to remind ourselves about when we work with any of these types of problems is the distributive property. We have to ask ourselves, have I distributed everything that needs to be distributed in the problem? So for this first one, we are distributing negative 2x squared to everything inside the parentheses. So when I do this, I have to remember my laws of exponents. Remember, when I multiply 2 of the same base, I add the exponent. So negative 2x times, well, first of all, I'm actually going to draw my distribution arrows. This isn't something that you have to do, but I think it's helpful to see where we need to distribute. So negative 2x squared times x squared would be negative 2. X squared times x squared would be x to the 4th. And then I'm going to keep moving on down the line. Negative 2x squared times positive 3x. Negative 2 times 3 would be negative 6. X squared times x, remember there's a 1 there that we don't write, would be x to the 3rd. And I'm going to keep moving on down the line. Negative 2x squared times a positive 4. Negative 2 times 4 would be negative 8. And then I just need to write my x squared. So I need to ask myself, do I have any like terms to combine? And in this situation, I do not. The other thing I need to ask myself is it written in standard form? Which it is. So this one is done. Okay? Moving on to a binomial times a binomial. So the thing about this that can be tricky is that we're actually distributing the x to everything in that second set of parentheses and the 5. So this is like double distribution. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my arrows. I'm going to multiply the x times that x and the x times the 8. And also I need to distribute the 5. 5 times the x and 5 times the 8. So let's go ahead and do that. X times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x. Okay, we've distributed that. Now we need to move on to the 5 and we need to distribute. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 8 is 40. So we need to ask ourselves, do we have some like terms here? And yes, we do. We have these 2 terms in the middle that are like. So I'm going to go ahead and write this with those being combined. X squared plus 13x plus 40. Is it in standard form? Yes, it is. Have I combined all like terms? Yes, I have. Now there's a trick that helps you remember double distribution, and that's what that is. And it's called FOIL. You should have put this in your notes. FOIL only works with 2 binomials. So the way FOIL works is it's kind of a thing to help you remember, have I multiplied everything? First, outside, inside, last. So let me show you what that looks like. We would multiply the first 2 terms, the outside terms, the inside terms, and the last terms. So whichever way you want to remember how to do this is fine. You can remember using the distribution arrows, or you can remember using FOIL. Okay? Now we're going to move on to this chunkier problem, trinomial times a binomial, which means I have a lot of things to distribute. I have to distribute this x squared to 3x and to 4. I have to distribute this 2x to 3x and to 4. And I have to distribute this last term, -1 to 3x and to 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. X squared times 3x is 3x to the third. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. Next, 2x. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And 2x times 4 is 8x. Now we're going to move to the 1. -1 times 3x is -3x. -1 times 4 is -4. Okay? We have a lot of like terms to combine here, at least a couple. We've got 3x to the third. I'm going to look down the line. Do I have any other 3x to the thirds? No, I don't. So I'm just going to bring that down, and I'm going to use the check mark method to make sure I've taken care of everything. And then I've got 4x squared plus 6x squared. Okay, I need to combine those. Those are like terms, so 10x squared. And I have 8x minus 3x, which is 5x, positive 5x, so plus 5x. And last but not least, I have my constant of -4. So remember, we're going to look at this and ask ourselves, have I combined all like terms? Yes, I have. And is it written in standard form? Yes, it is. Okay. Moving on to some more examples. This is where you can kind of quiz yourself to see how well you've gotten this information. You should write these 3 down. You should pause the video. You should do the problems, resume the video, and see if you got them right. So for this first one, I'm going to do -4x times 2x squared, which is -8x to the third. And then I'm going to do -4x times -5x, which is positive 20x squared. And -4x times 5, which is -20x. There are no like terms to combine, and it's been written in standard form. Okay, so remember, this one I can either use the double distribution arrows, or I can look at using FOIL. So let's try it with FOIL. First, 3x times 2x would be 6x squared. Outside, 3x times 4 is 12x. Inside, -5 times 2x is -10x. And last, -5 times 4 is -20. Now I have these 2 middle terms that are like. I'm going to need to combine those. So 6x squared, positive 12x minus 10x results in 2x minus 20. It's written in standard form. All like terms have been combined. All right, we're going to move on to the last one. -3x squared plus 1 times this trinomial. So I'm going to start with this first term. -3x squared times 2x squared would be -6x to the fourth. -3x squared times 3x would be -9x to the third. And then -3x squared times -4 would be positive 12x squared. Let's move on to our next one. It's 1 times all of these. So 1 times 2x squared would be positive 2x squared. 1 times 3x would be 3x. 1 times -4 would be -4. Now we need to combine our like terms. I'm going to start with my highest exponential value so I can write it in standard form, which is to the 4th power. There's nothing else down the line to the 4th power, and I'm going to use the check mark method to make sure I've taken care of everything. So that's -6x to the 4th. And I have -9x to the third. Do I have any other to the third? I do not. So -9x to the third. And moving on, I have 12x squared. Hi people, there was a little blip in filming, so we're going to resume this problem. We're almost done. So now we're going to look at the next like terms, which is 12x squared and 2x squared. So when I add those together, I get 14x squared. Moving on down the line, I've got 3x. There's no other terms to combine that with. And all by itself, -4. So I have to ask myself, as always, has it been written in standard form? Yes, it has. And have all like terms been combined? Yes. So we're done. All right. Go on to today's assignment, and if you have any questions, please email me. I'm here to help.